still fighting the storm. Hearts full of pain, but we're trying to transform. Mental health matters, can push it aside. We're more than survivors, we're meant to rise. Give us the care, not just the blame, cause healing begins when you call it by name. Stop the bullying, don't look away. Stop being silent, just speak up today. We're still breathing, fighting the storm and trying to transform. Fighting the storm and trying to transform. Fighting the storm and trying to transform. Fighting the storm and trying to transform.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Making Change Requires Everyone, the podcast where we impact real issues young people face every day. I'm Shandelle, your host, and I'm really glad you're here.
And I'm Emily. We love creating a space where you can think, question, and grow right along with us.
And I'm Sharon. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Today's topic is an important one on masculinity.
A lot of young men feel pressure to act a certain way to be a man. Sharon, what pressures do you think boys face right now when trying to fit into that role?
Well, I would say that, there's certain types of boys that easily fit into that role, and there are certain types that don't, right? So certain types that are not athletic, whether it's due to like their physical capability or just simply due to the fact that they might not be interested in athletics. And to those, I think it could be very dangerous to them because if your inability to be able to fulfill those roles makes you feel as if like you're less of a man. And when you feel as if you're less of a man, you feel as if there's this weight to prove yourself. And, sometimes that could be good, but I think most of the times that could lead to like bad things, like doing things that are dangerous, doing things that might hurt other people, just simply with the goal of trying to prove, yeah, I'm masculine. Yeah, I'm like that. And to the boys that, say, the hell with that, I'm not even going to try to fulfill those roles. To them, they get bullied. They get ostracized. So I think those are the pressures. It's like, again, when you're a man that can fulfill that or a boy that can fulfill that, it's very easy. But to the ones that either can't, whether because of some physical disability or because they're just simply uninterested, I think it could lead to those circumstances where you have a guy that's like perpetually trying to prove himself and so does stupider and stupider things and gets himself into trouble. And then you have the guy that's ostracized and bullied.
Okay. There's a huge trend right now where boys try to be macho, hard, or super cool. The way you dress, talk, stand, everything. Why do you think this image is so popular?
I would think it's because they're trying to fit this type of image that I won't say what people perceive them as, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like some way they're like a certain a certain version of themselves, like in private. I'm pretty sure we all are.
Yeah.
But when they're like in the world or like when they're facing other people, they kind of put this mask on and try to be like act all nonchalant and like try to seem as if
they're trying to impress their friends.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
Or either girls or trying to hide their emotions and not be vulnerable enough to show how they feel and what they feel, or because they think that that type of image is weak or it kind of shows a bit too much of themselves and they don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
In a way. I don't know if that's how you feel.
Yeah, I would say that part of it is true. I think, a part of it is just simply like the natural, you're surrounded by guys and so things are naturally competitive in that sense. But I think that need for competitiveness is like accentuated or it's heightened when you add social media to it, because it's not just that you're competing with your group of guys here, but you're competing with all of these other guys, they're just around, and so the pressure of competition becomes even more inflamed. And so that's why I think it's becoming more popular. I don't think like, again, the natural need for competitiveness, I think that's just natural. That's just men being men. But I think to now that it feels as if like it's so accentuated and it feels as if it's like more apparent, I think it's mainly due to social media. I think social media is sort of like increasing that necessity
Yeah,
to
I
feel
agree.
very macho or to feel very strong.
How can acting tough or pretending to not care cause problems for boys themselves or for the people around them?
So again, to speak from experience, again, the common way the culture likes to frame sharing your problems is, well, we're sharing the problem so that all of us can share the burden of that weight, right? And maybe that usually works for women because like women are more expected to be open and to be vulnerable. But when you're talking about a man, it's like those expectations are the exact opposite. The expectation is that you are supposed to be the problem solver. You're not supposed to be the one bringing the problems. And so when a man is, thinking about, okay, should I share this or not? What they're afraid of being perceived as weak. And another thing, which I think is tied to their desire to want to problem solve, is that they feel as if with me bringing the problem, I'm sort of like, it's almost as if I'm infected with a virus and I'm sharing that virus with you. It's not just me bringing the problem, but I myself have become the problem. And that's horrible because I'm supposed to be the problem solver. And so because of that, it's very hard to open up and to share your problems because you don't want to be the problem, right? And you certainly don't want to be the person bringing the problem because you seem like less of a man.
Are you speaking about your experience or like what you've seen from?
I'm speaking from my experience, but also from the experience of my friends as well.
Okay. Sometimes it feels like everyone's watching and judging, even when they aren't. Do you think social media, film, and music industries makes this pressure heavier for guys?
Yeah, I certainly think that's the case. I mean, again, I also think that those pressures are usually common. But an interesting thing is that you see like this like desire to like be masculine. You see it a lot in like first world countries, but you don't really see those pressures. I mean, I'm sure they exist, but they're less sort of heightened in like, say, third world countries or developing countries, right? And I think obviously some of the problems is like, just how they live and such. But I also think one of it is like humans, guys, even girls, right? When we're trying to form our identities, we don't just form it out of vacuums, right? We look at other people and we try to base other people that we think are better than us. And we try to base our personality and our abilities off of them because we admire them. And usually, traditionally at least, for guys, it's been, their fathers or their brothers. But for guys that, don't have that masculine presence in their life, whether it's like an absent father or just like not a lot of, again, that masculine pressure, they don't really have a reference point. Usually the person that's supposed to help us be men is our fathers or our brothers, right? They're supposed to be there to show us, how to talk to a woman, how to have a conversation with her, or how to shave, or just all of the basic parts of being a man, right? And when those, the people that are supposed to be teaching aren't there, then the kid sort of looks at themselves and says, okay, well, who should I base my appearance of masculinity on? Who should I base my personality off of? And if your parents aren't there, then you're just going to naturally look at social media, right? And I think that's the void where, people like Andrew Tate and all of these other, masculine influences, they come in because they're the main guys that's attractive, right? Or sorry, the guys that are usually attracted to those types of men are the types of guys that, again, don't have that masculine role model that's usually there to show them how to be a man. And so they look at that person and they think, that must be how it looks like to be a man, right? Because that's the, you look at, social media, you look at movies, usually like the main character is like, this James Bond type character. And so, again, because you don't really have any real world examples, it seems almost natural. It seems obvious that these sort of extreme representations of masculinity are the proper representations. And so to tie it back to the problem, so yeah, I definitely think that social media and, movies, they put a heavier pressure, definitely.
Okay. I've met so many boys who are kind, creative, sensitive, but they keep it quiet because it doesn't fit the cool image. How do we help young men feel proud of those parts too?
I think the main way to tie it back to the other answer is to show, and I think it's something that's more interpersonal than it is like, on social media, but I think it's to meet guys that, yes, are masculine, but also have like, we're artists or have a sensitive type to them, right? I think that's ultimately the answer, is to show them different types of masculinity, that masculinity isn't this like James Bond type character, right? It's not like this, it's not some we're human, right? And so I think it's to show them like healthy versions of masculinity, that no, you can be a man, you can be strong, you can do these things, right? But yet still, be artistic or still be willing to share. So I think it's just like, I think ultimately the problem is we don't really have a lot of like real world examples of how to be a man. And so because of that, like we have to rely on social media to form our opinions on that.
And when boys only show the tough side, it can hide the real stuff they're dealing with. How can we make it normal for guys to talk about their feelings without worrying someone will call them weak?
I think again it's about the person. It's about showing yourself to be the type of person that is non-judgmental. And this is a universal point. It's not just simply for men, it's also for women as well. You're not going to open up to a person that you feel as if, the second you open up, they're going to attack. So if you want to have a guy open up to you, it's very simple. Just show yourself to be the type of person not to judge them when they do happen to do so. And once you continue to build that, rapport or reputation or conception in that person's heart, then naturally the guy would be willing to open up. Or at least speaking from my experience, that's how things has gone for me.
At the end of the day, everyone's trying to figure themselves out. What do you think could help boys feel freer to be who they really are instead of what they think they should be?
I think an important part of that, again, is being non-judgmental. But also another part is, again, showing examples. Because, we naturally base ourselves off of other people. So I think it's about showing that there is a variety of different ways to be a man, right? And you can still hold on to some of these ideals, like being strong and, being the problem solver or being capable, without necessarily rejecting some parts of your identity that's a part of there. So yeah, I think it's about being non-judgmental, but it's also about showing other examples of how to be a man. And, the guy can relate to whatever, because, you can have the super macho, and that might be for certain types of guys, or you can have like the guy that's still like that, but he's also like, intellectual or likes music, or, I think it's about showing different examples, and the child will just base their personality off of whatever best fits them.
About this question, the whole freer thing, so obviously what I'm taking it from is that boys tend to have this stereotypical or egotistical type of mindset that they have of them, but it's the whole freer thing, do they actually want to express themselves openly, or they try to max it? I don't know how to say it.
I think your question would be is it their desire to express themselves, or is that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think yes, of course, it's everybody's desire to express themselves. But again, I think that the main pressures that's stopping them from being able to do so is, again, they don't want to be judged. And so if you want them to express themselves, then you're going to have to, again, first of all, be less judgmental. And also, second of all, because again, to help your point a bit, some guys feel as if there's two extremes, right? There's the super macho guy and there's a super feminine guy. And most guys don't want to be the super feminine guy. And so they default to thinking, okay, the super macho guy must be the only other option. But there's in between, it's a spectrum, right? And so that's why I think it's important to show multiple examples that, yeah, you can be, it's not necessary. It's not like foregoing these super macho, super extreme, depictions of masculinity, therefore means foregoing masculinity whatsoever. That because you can't do the macho thing, that the macho depiction is the only possible depiction of masculinity. And if you don't pick that, then the only other option is being astronomically feminine or whatever. So again, I feel as if you have to show them that it's not just these two extremes. It's not either being very macho or being very feminine. Because again, if you show that binary option, most guys are going to pick the macho version. But rather it's about, again, showing them that it's a spectrum, that there's different ways to express yourself. And you can still be masculine without necessarily having all of these other additional, I would also say extreme depictions of what you're supposed to be.
With the whole judging thing, is it Because I feel like it's mostly based on what other men think that this should be. So other men feels as if like, oh, well, if he's being nonchalant about it, maybe I should be. Or if he's being masculine about this and going with that type of mindset, I should be. And in a way, it's kind of like, you know how, it's not like a trend or something, but it is kind of on TikTok. But like, it's like when they're around their friends, they're like, you know, all tough and stuff like that. But when they're around their girlfriends, they're more softer and more open in a way.
Yeah, because
and I feel like that's kind of interesting, because when they feel the need to be vulnerable is when they're around women, but not around them.
Very true.
Because again, when you're surrounded by guys, it's naturally very competitive, and you know, with women, that need for competition, at least with if you're in a relationship, then that need for competition is sort of less heightened than if you were trying to get a girl. So yeah, I think that's a part of it. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a wrap for this segment. But we're just getting started.
Yep. In our next segment, we'll be bringing in a very special guest who has a lot to say about this topic.
He is going to shed even more light on where pressures come from, how they affect boys day to day, and what real change could look like.
So stick around, take a breather, grab some water, because the conversation is about to get even deeper. We'll be right back.